Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for supporting this platform, this channel, no matter how you do it. Whether you're a member of the Coffee Club, Patreon, you're on the backup channel, you're sharing it out, you're hitting thumbs up, subscribing, whatever the case may be. Thank you very much for doing that. Y'all are helping this channel grow, and I'm truly grateful. So I want to talk about something that I find interesting this morning. Hopefully McBean is in chat. I'm not sure if I'll be in chat or not. Crazy schedule, but I'll talk about that in a few days. So this is a direct quote from a tweet that I saw the other night on Twitter. And again, I hope McBean's in here because he also replied to it. He knows what I'm talking about with this. The quote is, "Why do people think the 15-minute city concept is all about locking people in? I live in one. It's great. I have everything I need within a short walk. Nobody has trapped me here." End quote. So the first thing is, thank you, my guy, for verifying that 15-minute cities are really happening. Anytime I talk about a 15-minute city, you always have that group that says, it's never going to happen. It's a conspiracy theory. Again, this guy lives in one. He's telling us right here in the open, I live in one. It's great. We're going to get to the great part here in a second. But it is happening. And it is happening right now in Europe. I mean, in Asia, certain Asian nations have forced this upon people. Whereas Europe is using persuasion. You know, the old stick and the carrot. You know what I mean? China right now, they're using the stick to implement this. The UK, they're implementing the carrot, and they're luring people in. But we're going to talk about that. Thank you for confirming that, my guy, there on Twitter. So this person, in my opinion, is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, where you are a captive, and this is just a brief explanation as I understand it. You're a captive to the point where you are defending your captors. You are, at this point, you are taking up for people that obviously have pinned you in. Now, you can make many parallels here. We can get back into the pandemic. I'm not going to do it for very long this morning, but you can look at the pandemic and you can, at least I would say, a lot of shady stuff went on, right? A lot of shady stuff by agencies that were supposed to be here to protect the American people. They weren't doing a great job. And people were being used by these agencies to the point where they were defending these agencies blindly. This is Stockholm Syndrome, at least the way I understand it. So let me give you an analogy this morning, okay? Speaking to this tweet, and it is a real tweet. I clicked on the guy's account. I went into the tweets. I'm like, no, man, somebody is over here trolling me, son. Somebody's trolling me, or this is a parody account. No, he was in there defending his position, you know, because multiple people were saying, man, you have Stockholm Syndrome. You don't know, you don't understand what's going on here. Let me explain it to you. And he was defending his position. So it's his position, you know, he's got the right to have it. But here's an analogy. If a prison were to open all of its cell doors and just keep them open nonstop and put everything in the prison that you needed to be comfortable. You know, they upgraded the TVs. They got direct TV. I guess that's still a thing with the NFL Network. Maybe they got that in there. You know, they just upgraded everything. They made everything so convenient, set up a bar, set up a few restaurants. But you couldn't actually leave the prison unless you paid a certain amount of money or you had the proper paperwork, okay? But you were allowed to move freely within this prison. And again, everything's right there. It's convenient. Are you still a prisoner? This cat on Twitter is basically saying nobody has trapped me here. I'm not a prisoner. I have everything I need around me. It's in my viewpoint that you would still be a prisoner. Your living situation, at least at that time, would be a lot better than it was before. It would look a lot more appealing. And honestly, there are going to be people that, you know, a homeless person, for example, that would prefer that. They would prefer to go in there, live inside the actual structure of the prison, because they have access to all these different things now. Okay, they've got water, they've got food, they've got a roof over their head, they've got a doctor there. Again, they've got stores, they've got shops, they've got everything that you would need in order to survive. But to me, not being able to leave without the proper paperwork, the building itself, or paying a certain tax, or whatever the case may be, to me, you're still a prisoner. This is how I look at it. I think that humans by nature are explorers. Not every, there's some weird people out there. There's some people out there that have a very, I don't know how to explain it without coming off as a jerk. They have a linear path in life. They really have no ambition. They are who they are, and they do what they do for 40 or 50 years. They don't really like it, but hey, they get a decent paycheck. Zero ambition to do anything else that they actually enjoy, or to explore, other career paths or other things that the world has to offer. But I digress. I think people are explorers by nature, or they should be. And I think that there are two methods, getting back to the whole China and UK thing, there are two methods of restricting movement. So you can restrict movement by way of rifles and razor wire and retina scanners. And there's a lot of that stuff going on again in China. You have drones, policing. I mean, this stuff is really happening. This is not science fiction anymore. They're restricting movement. Okay, everything is restricted in that society. But in these 15-minute cities that are becoming normal now in parts of the United Kingdom, it's the same concept. The difference is they have convinced people you want to live this way, because once you gaslight somebody that hard and you make them believe that hey, it's my idea, I want to go into the prison and live like this, son. Once you've convinced them to do that, there's no need for rifles. There's no need for that military style presence or heavily policed presence, because the people are policing themselves. They think they're doing a great thing. They think that that's a life truly worth living. And I want to mention this, and this is a rabbit hole that you can go way down, and I've been there, and it's a scary place. But I believe that we're all born into this world, and we should have equal rights. I don't care what and I've said this previously, but I don't care what you look at in terms of religion, or what you look like personally, or what your beliefs are. Everybody should have the same ability to be free, to move about. And if somebody was going to make a pro argument for illegal immigration, y'all know my stance on that. I think a country has to have borders. But if somebody was to argue the point that we're born into this world and this is our world, the same world as everybody else's, that is an argument that I would actually have to sit down and entertain, because I believe that. I believe that we should have that freedom of movement, and not be restricted by social security numbers and things like this. But I digress. The point is, the people that are behind this movement, this 15-minute city movement, not good people, by the way, they don't have any more rights than you do. It's not like they were born into this world and the good Lord said, as he was putting them here, now you go down and you lord over these people. No. Their rights should be the same as everybody else's. The difference is they have money, and they've used this money to buy up influence. They've used it to corrupt a system that works for them and not for people like us. Each of us should have the same rights, is the point I'm trying to make, and have that freedom of movement. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to catch some heat for this, and I totally get it. We have an illegal immigration problem big time here in the United States. But rather than these people just flooding in and going underground, so to speak, or even seeking asylum, if somebody came across and they said, hey, I was born into this world, my movement should not be restricted, that's kind of hard to argue against. How do you argue against something like that, right? Especially as a Christian. So absolutely, 100%, there is an effort to put people into 15-minute cities. They want you out of rural areas and into these 15-minute cities. That's not even up for debate anymore. I mean, people will still say that I'm crazy for bringing that up, or no, man, it's conspiracy theory. No, man, spend 30 minutes researching it. They're real. They're already happening. Okay, and the way these things happen, a 15-minute city looks like a pizza. Was it 8 slices or something? Okay, something like that. I don't know. 8 slices, we'll say. You are assigned to your slice or your quadrant within the city, and you can move freely within this quadrant. In order to get to the next quadrant, you have to have a good reason and proper paperwork. Maybe you work in the next quadrant over, the next slice of pizza over. If that's the case, you're allowed to be there for so many hours a day. And so on and so forth. If you want to move freely throughout the entire city, at least in the UK, you have to pay additional taxes in order to acquire this paperwork. Seriously. It's a money-making scheme, and it puts people where these overlords want them. They don't want them on farms growing their own food. Y'all know this. They don't want them to have that independence from the system and that freedom. They want to push you off of your land or price you out of your land, and to the point where you have to go to a 15-minute city. Where are the doctors? The 15-minute cities. Where are all the schools? 15-minute cities. Where did most of the jobs go? You get the idea. They're packing these things out, and they're bleeding dry the rural areas throughout the UK. So this is absolutely happening, and it's happening, of course, on the back of climate change. They're saying this is better for the climate. They don't explain how. They don't explain how it's better to take Farmer Jed off of his property or coax him off of his property into a city. His carbon footprint is still going to be the same. The company that swoops in, probably owned by Gates and Company, that swoops in and takes his farmland over and begins processing what the Franken meat or whatever it is they're making. It's not like the carbon footprint goes away. But they've sold people on this, in my opinion, folks, this boogeyman of climate change. And a lot of these people, this guy included, he thinks that he's doing the world a justice by walking into the prison. Not with a rifle at his back. He's just walking in. He's like, this is a great life. Who wouldn't want to live this life? He actually said in response, not to me, but to another person when I was checking the thread out over on Twitter, this is a direct quote. He said, it's not like I'm living in China. Yes and no. Technically speaking, he's not living in China, but it's the same game. Again, he's not scanning retinas. He's showing paperwork. He doesn't have a rifle at his back. He's just paying extra taxes to go from one pizza slice to the next pizza slice. Y'all get it. Tax, proper paperwork, health passports. That's also a thing. People think I'm crazy for bringing it up. No, that's really happening. Check out the WHO. Check out the latest news that they drop and sweep under the rug. Those are real. And those are going to be tied into the 15-minute cities. A 15-minute city, for example, once you get into one of these things, if, God forbid, there's another pandemic or another crisis like this, and you don't line up and you don't take the whiskey shot that they introduce, you're not leaving your quadrant. That's how this whole thing is going to work. It's meant to restrict movement. To me, that seems a lot like China, my friend. I don't know. Some of us just want to know why. We want to know why, and I get Agenda 30, but I want to know why the overlords are doing this. I know that they know it's not about climate change. Right? To me, it just doesn't click. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Some of us want to know why. We ask questions. This is why I disagree with this individual. It seems to me like he's just complacent. He's not asking any questions. He believes anything that he's told. He believes the billboards. He believes everything he hears on TV and radio, and he's going to be a loyal foot soldier. I guess it's just me. That's not me. I want to know why I'm going to the clinic to get this, whatever they coming out with next, son. I want to know why I'm eventually going to be forced to carry my shot record on a cell phone. I want to know why this obsession with getting people into small 15-minute cities is the new normal. We just, folks like us, and there are a lot of people, hopefully there are a lot of people that are agreeing with me in chat. We just don't sit back and accept our lot in life. And I think that's the issue. I think this guy, again, is okay with where he's at in life. And as long as there's not too many waves and he's able to watch his favorite TV programs and eat his favorite microwave food, he doesn't care where he does it. He doesn't care if it's in a 15-minute city or if it's out here, as we call it, in God's country. And I disagree with him on that. I think we need governments. Some people say you're anti-government. No, I'm not anti-government. I think that we definitely need governments. We need structure in society. We need that kind of law. But we also need people within the society asking questions. I think that when people ask questions, it kind of holds the government or three-letter agencies in check just a little bit. There's a little bit of accountability. I would love to see some accountability from the pandemic. And I mean, but they just literally got away with murder, right? And it's because not enough people ask questions. They blindly follow without asking questions. And to me, Stockholm Syndrome is real. When so many people line up and not to get too far into it, but when so many people actually believe there's an arrow on this floor in your local Walmart pointing this way, and there's an arrow pointing this way, and they can't put together, you're supposed to say 6 feet apart, but the aisles are 5 foot wide. And it's okay somehow to walk past one another on the aisle. This doesn't seem to affect anything, but otherwise you have to stay 6 feet apart. These are the same people that bought into the lie, don't open your windows for Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners because the C-19 may come through your windows. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't question it. They just went along with it. They were loyal foot soldiers. So I'm asking you this morning, don't be one of those loyal foot soldiers, okay? Be a critical thinker. All right? Doesn't mean you have to agree with me on anything or everything, whatever. Just be a critical thinker on your own. You know, don't just listen to one podcast or, you know, one creator on YouTube or one news station. Get a variety of news from a variety of sources. Be a critical thinker. You must ask questions. And if you look at it with a critical eye and decide, hey, 15-minute cities are for me, I wish you luck on that. Good luck, sincerely, if that's the life you want. But for the rest of us, it's just not for me. And I don't ever see myself or my children living in a 15-minute city. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Till next time, y'all take care. God bless.